Without struggle, there is no progress, you know what I mean?
Last year, I had a incident which I now know was a flare, and that flare consisted of zero coordination, lots of tiredness, and a truckload of wonky vision. All of this accumulated, plus other stuff, with a visit to the hospital. A visit which consisted of various tests, blood samples, vitals being taken, MRI scans, CAT scans, a spinal tap at one point, not to mention a honking hefty 5-round course of steroids, which eventually knocked my flare into submission, and in doing so, allowed me to leave the hospital after my almost 1 week stay with a diagnosis of MS. Shortly after my MS diagnosis, a friend of my wife who has MS talked to her about a treatment that she had some time ago. A procedure that she had done to treat her MS, a procedure which has made a world of difference. Hematopoietic stem cell transplantation. The key part of that mangled attempt is stem cell transplantation, otherwise known as HSCT, which is far easier to say and is what we will be referring to it as from this point on. If you don't know what HSCT is, then here's a fairly succinct but precise explanation. HSCT is a chemotherapy-based medical procedure that ablates, a fancy word for saying removes, your immune system and reboots it using your own stem cells which are harvested from your blood or bone marrow. It is the only medical procedure currently available that has halted the progression of the majority of patients undertaking it. It's not 100% guaranteed, but, the odds are definitely in the favour of those undertaking it. Having dug into various testimonials across various platforms and done the due diligence in the research, hearing first-hand people's experiences and accounts before and after HSCT, I have to fully emphasize and stress the I in this because it is my decision and my decision alone, I have decided to go ahead with HSCT. When I'm actually going through the procedure and through the various stages of the treatment, I'll get into the weeds with what's happening, into the nitty-gritty. I'll be able to talk more about what it is that is actually happening to me and what I'm feeling, but I can't do that until I'm actually there and it's happening. However, I can go through a overall look at the process, the treatment plan that they have, and go through the treatment timeline that I will be going through over the 4 weeks that I'm over there. Alright, so treatment timeline, 9 steps, 4 weeks. The first step is medical pre-testing. It's happening on day minus 13. Yeah, minus 13. It'll kind of make more sense when we get to day 0. It's kind of like a before and after sort of thing. Anyway, day 13, and that's going to include a chest x-ray. I believe they're going to go through my medical history, the previous MRI scans that I'm going to send off to them. And yeah, I guess just making sure that I am, healthy enough to go through the next stages. So, yeah, just kind of making sure I'm good to go, I guess. Again, we'll kind of get more into it as I'm going through the medical pre-testing, but that is the first stage, medical pre-testing. Step 2 is my first round of chemotherapy. That's happening on day minus 11 and minus 10, and that is to inhibit autoimmunity and to mobilize the stem cells that they're going to be harvesting. So basically just getting them all juiced up and ready to be harvested, I guess. Step 3 is a continuation of that. That is stem cell mobilization. That's day minus 9 to day minus 4. So again, just kind of getting them to bloom and just populate the healthy stem cells, just getting them energized and ready to be taken from my body. To do that, injections will be given to me every 12 hours during a 7-day period. Step 4 is the actual stem cell harvest, and that's happening on day minus 3. Stem cells are collected, I believe, from my bone marrow and then stored at a controlled temperature in a fridge, kind of like a blood bank fridge. So once they're all fizzing about, energized, mobilized, ready to go, they're going to extract them from my body and then just whack them in the fridge for later. Stage 5 is my second round of chemotherapy. That's happening on day -2 and -1. And it's, just 2 additional days of high-dose chemo. And this round, I believe, and again, I'll know more as it's happening, but from what I've gathered from my layperson's non-medically inclined brain, these 2 days are to basically just flush everything out, to blast my system and get shot of the unhealthy, damaged, corrupt cells. I may be way off the mark with that, but that's my impression at least. When it's happening, when we're digging through the weeds, I'll probably have a much clearer and better understanding of what is actually happening with the second round of chemo. But to my understanding, that's the point of round 2 with the chemo. So that is the before stage. Stages 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now we're on to stage 6, day 0, my stem cell transplant. This is where the healthy stem cells are taken from the fridge and put back into me so they can multiply and create more healthy cells. Day 0 basically meaning this is like what has been referred to as your second birthday by a lot of people that have gone through this. This is the day that they basically have a clean slate. This is the new beginning, day 0. Yeah, second birthday. Fresh, brand new, baby-esque immune system minus the corrupt cells that were previously there. The damage that has been done by the MS is more than likely still going to remain, and I will live with that, but I won't have the cells trying to attack me anymore, which is great. Stage 7, neutropenic period begins, and this is day +1. Neutropenic period, this is when I have too few neutrophils, I think I'm pronouncing that right, which is basically a type of white blood cell. Neutrophils are important for fighting certain infections, especially those caused by bacteria. So obviously this is like when I am very, very vulnerable, and because of that, my diet and exposure will be highly controlled during the neutropenic period. Stage 8, hematology continues until recovery. That's day +2, moving onwards. And I believe I'll be having checks, blood tests, possibly. Again, I'll know more at the time when I'm in it, when I'm in the thick of it. But I think I read that I'll be having blood tests every 48 hours. And stage 9, the final stage, rituximab, I think I'm pronouncing that right as well, rituximab infusion, that's going to be happening approximately around day +11, so that is my last week of the 4 weeks. Basically, rituximab is medication, and it's administered through an IV. And, after that, if all is well, I'll be discharged and ready to go home.
This is who I am.